Welcome to another episode of Inside UFLB. This is episode 8, and my name is Dean Millard, head of baseball operations for UFF Sports, and so happy to be your commissioner for Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball. And of course, this show presented by Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports, the grand platform that we are all part of, and it's broadcast proudly on Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network. We have big things happening all across UFFS and right here on UFSN as well. And there is kind of one sort of core mission when it comes to this show.
This is a serious message. Peace and love. Peace and love.
Yeah, we want to spread peace and love, but 27 straight outs in baseball is a perfect game. We will try to be exactly 27 minutes from the first pitch that was thrown out. And of course, big thanks to our title sponsor, Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports. Check it out at uffsports.com to find the ultimate in sports NFTs. It is next level what we are doing with these NFTs with utility. So please check it out at uffsports.com when you have a chance.
You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me? Well, who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here.
All right. Get in touch at Duck Millard. That's my Twitter handle. You can follow the league at the UFLB and the scouting department, headed up by Brian Hernandez, at UFLB_scouting. You can send us an email, info UFLB at uffsports.com. If you're interested in UFSN, the email is UFSN at uffsports.com. And as mentioned, uffsports.com and ultimatesportsnfts.com is where you can find all the action when it comes to NFTs with utility. So this is what we have for you today. Alex Muchinsky is Mooch. He's going to join us. This is a guy who owns 6 franchises in UFFS in 4 different sports. So if you're new, this is a guy you should talk to because he knows the lay of the land. Huge sports fan. I can't wait for you to watch this conversation. It was just so much fun. It's always so much fun when you chat with Mooch. We're also going to tell you about the new waiver system that will be happening. Well, I guess everything is new, but we finalized the waiver system that will take place during the season when we kick things off March 31st, 2022. So that is what we'll be discussing today, especially with Mooch. We'll talk about a lot of stuff when it comes to baseball. So let's get to that conversation right now.
Play ball!
Well, this is going to be a fun conversation. I've really enjoyed getting to know Alex Muchinsky, a.k.a. Mooch of 7 C's Fantasy Sports. Mooch, welcome to Inside UFLB. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Always fun to be on here. This is my third podcast on this UFFS platform, so hopefully I'll get a little better each time.
Well, yeah, you're a veteran right now of the podcast. You're also a veteran of UFFS, which we'll get into. But let's go back to the beginning. I remember that first show, Larry and I, when we had you on to talk about the purchase of the Team Red Army. And what was it that brought you into UFFS in the first place?
Well, I've been involved in crypto for the past 4 or 5 years, both on from my tax business and from an investing speculation side. And I was on some other crypto platform, and they started bringing up the UFFS, and it looked fascinating. And I said, "Oh, crypto, fantasy, gambling, everything that I like." So I said, "Let me check this out." I found you all on Telegram. I observed for a month or two to get a flavor for it, and I really liked what I saw, and one thing leads to another, and now I own like 6 of these things.
Yeah, you're collecting, and that's awesome. I
Yeah.
think that is so cool because, I think you kind of have a neat background when it comes to fantasy sports. This is something that, the 7 C's actually comes out of your background and when you were a younger guy playing fantasy sports. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, as I mentioned in the last one, but this is a new audience. Tommy, who's my partner, we were neighbors, and we were real sports geeks as kids, and we had this crazy paper football league, and we organized it, and we made it with all the countries, and we named it the 7 C's Football League. So when I heard about this project, I said I got to get Tommy involved. And when we were looking for a name, we said, how about 7 C's? So that's kind of how it happened.
It's beautiful. I was a big Stratomatic guy, and we would divide up the teams, and never in my wildest dreams did I think, starting with Stratomatic and then moving to fantasy and then getting into something like this would ever happen. It is just so incredible. And as you mentioned, you're all in 4 sports, some different teams. How hands are you with the different sports? Take me through the ones that you own and kind of rate them on how hands-on of an owner you are.
Well, I'm hands-on in everything. Now that doesn't mean I'm interfering with everything. So I'm hands-on in terms of every day. I know what's going on. I know all our players. I keep track of everything. I have chats with our GMs. So I'm up to speed. Now I'm not pulling a George Steinbrenner with hockey, for instance. Jeff's running the show there for the most part, and we talk. He tells me his rationale behind certain things, and and generally, he's running the show there, but so I don't interfere, but I'm also involved. Like I know about every trade before it happens. As a matter of fact, you'll see it tomorrow. We just pulled off a trade tonight in hockey. So yeah, it's fascinating. I'm having the time of my life. And so that's hockey. Basketball, I'm the GM. So that one, I'm in the trenches. I'm dealing with all the telegram, things, and hey, I need this, I need that. And so I'm very involved in basketball on a GM side. Football and baseball, Tommy is going to be our GM. But again, I didn't do this to not be involved. I mean, I'm all in terms of knowing what's going on.
That is so awesome. And of course, there's Legends League, there's Ultimate Fantasy World Juniors.
We're working on our Legends auction. Is going to be nuts in 2 weeks. We mapped out our strategy today, as a matter of fact, or started to map out our strategy, how we want to proceed with that. So yeah, this is UFFS never sleeps, man. No.
Yeah, no kidding. It really doesn't. You go from regular season to Legends League if you're in that. And I know that, basketball, football, and baseball are 3 sports that I think you would consider yourself well versed in. Hockey is the one that you're learning about. And, what is it like learning not only about the sport, but also how closely we mirror the NHL? So you're not only learning about the ins and outs of hockey in general, but the ins and outs of the actual top league in the world.
Oh, without question. And don't forget, I own a World Hockey Junior League as well. So I mean, I'm up to my ears in hockey right now, and it's been fascinating. It's fun. It's great to learn about a new sport. I have a great teachers in Jeff and Andrew, and on top of that, just observing in the chat rooms, I learn a lot. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, I know sports, so obviously a lot of the same strategies apply. There's a salary cap, there's rosters, there's the same concepts, aging players versus youth. So I mean, I get the strategies. Now it's just learning the sport, and B, the players. So but I'm learning. And I try to just sometimes it gets a little overwhelming, but my goal is, every week I try to learn 2 or 3 new things about hockey. And that way I look at it after a year or two, I'll know a lot. And I'm already starting to know because I've talked to some of my buddies outside of this who are hockey fans, and I actually can hold a somewhat intelligent conversation so far. I tell them about all our prospects for Red Army and blah, blah, blah. And, and they're like, oh, yeah, I know about, so so I'm having fun with it. It's
Awesome.
a lot of fun.
That's great. So now we have Ultimate Fantasy League Baseball. So obviously we're in the infancy stages. We've just auctioned off the franchises. We're still, fine tuning some things. But what are your impressions so far, with the experience of the other leagues looking forward to UFLB?
Well, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I'll have to be honest, I go in cycles with sports. Baseball, even though I'm a huge Yankee fan, but I've been in a little bit of a downtrend with baseball just because I'm not as liking all the new modern stuff. So I'm really kind of hoping UFLB really reignites my interest because baseball, was my first love as a kid. So, and I'm not going to say I'm not interested, but basically I watch the Yankees for the most part in baseball, whereas when I was a kid, I knew every single team and every player. I guess it's also, being older and having more responsibilities. I don't have as much time to, know everything. But now that I have a UFLB team, I'm sure I will know everything or close to everything. When you have a vested interest, all of a sudden you start paying a lot more attention to players other than your favorite team.
I kind of identify with that. So I went something similar with hockey. When hockey went through the dreaded trap era and the New Jersey Devils were winning with the most boring hockey and, some of the pre-lockouts, that to me was unappealing hockey. And it was my job because I was a sports broadcaster, but it was unappealing the way the game was played. I would like to see baseball go back to some of the things that I think it's missing, but that's going to take a little bit of time.
I'm old school. I like when the managers come out and kick dirt. I like the big wads of tobacco. I don't like instant replay, but I don't want to be a stick in the mud either. You have to also realize we're almost in 2022 now, and times change. But a lot of the old schools, I like when a player walks and you bunt them over and you hit the other way and then get a sacrifice fly and manufacture a run. I don't like the let's hack and hope for a 3-run home or otherwise we strike out. I'm not crazy about that, but I don't want to sound like an old fart either. I'll be fine, and we're really going to enjoy UFLB.
Yeah, indeed. I would like to see guys try not to beat the shift by only hitting it over the shift. I would like to see them try to do it the other way. But it's going to hopefully come around a little bit.
These things go in cycles.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I don't know how much you watch the NBA, but now the NBA is getting back to more physical basketball. We went through this era of wide open threes. This year it's been a lot more physical. Numbers are a little bit down along the board because teams are playing defense again. So, these things come and go. And, sometimes the pendulum goes too far on one side, but, these sports have been around for 100 years for a reason.
Exactly. And, we're trying to get it right off the bat, but we know there's going to be some tinkers, and with a new league, there's going to be, the word fluid comes up because we're trying to get it right, but, we want to have as consistent gameplay as possible. When you look at how things are shaping up, are you thinking, there's some things I'd like to change, or are you thinking, let's see how it goes? What's your kind of opinion on that as we approach the meetings in January?
I don't have huge specific things. I am a bigger fan of the head-to-head. That's the only thing. I do. I know that we have in basketball and football our head-to-head sports. Hockey and baseball on this platform are overall points, and I do like the head-to-head because it's the natural rivalries. It's for your division. You say, oh, I'm playing XYZ team. They're in it's a division game. Let's go. And I understand the reasons for not doing it because you people don't like to have a bad week where you might lose against the opponent that you would normally beat. But I kind of like that. I mean, in football, in the UFFS AFL football, we were one of the top scorers for the first few weeks, but we were 0-3, and we easily could have been 3-0, and it just was luck of the draw that we had some really tough matchups. But I like that. But it doesn't. I don't have any more specific changes. Let's get through a season and see how it plays out. I mean, I'm excited to be a part of this.
Yeah, I love the marathon point system during the regular season, and then that head-to-head in the playoffs where you're picking up some other players. So kind of a bit of a hybrid there. And baseball.
And look, hockey's our most successful thing going on right now. So obviously that's been working, and so let's see how it goes. And it's going to be great.
What do you love about fantasy baseball in general? Because it's much different than any of the other sports, just for the fact that there's so many different positions.
Well, it's certainly more analytical. It's a lot though. It's every night. Your players are playing 6 times a week usually. Baseball's like a soap opera. It kind of goes along and lulls. Sometimes you have some peaks, valleys, but it just takes a long time to play out, and which is one of the criticisms of it. But true baseball fans enjoy that. It's not like you don't watch every baseball game on the seat of your chair being like, this is no. It's a casual game. It's summertime, and I want to have a cocktail. I want to relax and have a baseball game on. People don't understand that. Oh, it's not intense like football. No, it's not meant to be intense like football. It's a different sport, and and that's what's nice about it. It's a nice summertime sport where you're just kind of hanging out, you're grilling out, you got the Yankees on, that type. It's not high. It's not meant to be high stress all the time like hockey or football.
And it has its moments, though. It gets you on the seat of the edge of your seat. And I love about baseball is you can drift in and out of a game. I think baseball on the radio is one of the greatest things, and a lost art of listening. It's so amazing. I absolutely love it. And I'm a bit of a romantic when it comes to baseball in that regard. But what about stats? Is there when it comes to fantasy sports or fantasy baseball in general, is there a stat you love or maybe you hate? I'm vocal. I hate plus minus in hockey. I tried to get rid of it this year. It didn't go through. So there's stats that everybody likes or don't like. Is there one for you that you either love or maybe don't like so much?
No, I'll be honest. I'm an old school guy, so half of these new stats I have trouble getting my head around. But I'm gonna have to learn them all, and Tommy's gonna be the main point man. He's our GM. I think whatever it is, we all whatever the stats are, we all have to adjust as franchises, and we will plan our teams accordingly. So I'm not here banging my head. Oh, we've got to get rid of this one. Let's see how it plays out. We had that hockey meeting, those off-season meetings where we talked about all. And of course, I'm new to hockey, so half of it was, foreign to me anyway. But still, it was like, I wasn't as crazed about the rules as everyone else, just because I feel, we're all on an even turf on that stuff.
All right, so let's talk baseball free agency. It's much more active. We know why, because of that date that is almost upon us now. We're recording this at 9:30 Eastern, and the deadline is just in a couple hours. But what have you thought of free agency so far? I've really enjoyed it.
It has. It's been, normally we have this creep along the hot stove season, and then all of a sudden February, late January, early February, people start getting off their butts. I like it. I like it. It's kind of like the way basketball, is, where you have the free agency and there's this rush to sign people. And yes, a lot of it has to do with the collective bargaining. Also, some of these monster deals. I think what you're seeing is that teams are realizing we're headed into a major inflationary environment, most likely. So some of these contracts that look crazy right now, but that are these 10-year, $250 million deals, might look like bargains in 3-4 years if you have a devaluation of the dollar. Who knows? So I that's what I think what's going on, because it was rare you saw 10-year deals ever, except for what's the I can't I'm obviously Stanton, but there was one the big one prior, I lost track, but it was very rare, and now they're being handed out like candy.
Yeah, it's wild how it's shifted, and you're right. The pressure of the CBA, it's there. Are you concerned that there's going to be a delay in the season? I just can't see baseball coming out of 2020, where they had no fans, stopping. I know there's passion on both sides, but I just can't see it.
No, I don't see it either. I there's too much money involved. There's too much making up of lost money, as you say. And to be honest, with these monster salaries being paid out in the last couple weeks, it's hard to argue for the player side we got a bad deal. I mean, if anything, hockey should be striking. Look at them compared to everyone else. I mean, those guys must be looking at it and being like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" I think it'll be posturing. I think we'll hear a lot of nonsense for a month or two, and then at the end of the day, they'll be like, "All right, guys, we got to come to a deal here," and because it's just not the environment to be striking right now. They'll have very little sympathy from the public. People are frustrated with, people are just in a frustrated mood right now in general. So they're not going to have any sympathy for a strike, especially when people are making 10-year, $250 million contracts.
Yeah, that's such a good point. It really is, with the temperature of just the world right now. But you're right. No. When you talk about hockey, you got the best player in the game, the best player on the planet makes $12.5 million a year, and 37-year-old Max Scherzer just got $40 million. So that's why hockey probably went and got Donald Fehr to run their union.
A utility infielder is making probably $7-8 million now. I mean, it's ludicrous. Now, granted, there's more games in baseball. Sure. There's more. I mean, when you look at the economics of it,
yes, totally.
Hockey can't pay out money if they're not making as much. I mean, so
they're easily number 4.
It is a little bit apples and oranges, but there is a major discrepancy.
Yeah, when the player in his prime in one sport is making so much less than, and listen, that Max Scherzer could still have some terrific seasons, but he's much closer to 40. And it is, hockey is easily the 4th sport out of the big 4, and it has so it just shows you how far they have to go and how far they are away from. I think they're closer to basketball than they are to football and baseball for sure.
Well, but if you look at the salaries in basketball, there's some immense contracts there too.
They're far away.
Maybe they don't have to change. Maybe it's fine. Maybe it's I'm sure the players would like it to change, but I don't know if any sports figure is really worth 30-40 million a year. I mean, anyone. So especially baseball. I mean, you're only one of 25 players. The money's crazy, but then again, obviously the owners are making it from somewhere, and so they wouldn't be paying it if they weren't making it. And it's these monster TV deals. It's not even it's the fact of the matter is sports on cable TV is the only thing that gets eyeballs anymore. Nothing else gets eyeballs. So sports come at a premium, and these huge TV deals that the leagues sign go to all the teams, and they're flush with cash, and with streaming and Amazon entering the fray and all that, there's a lot more bidders. It's not just the networks anymore. You've got Amazon, you've got Disney Plus, you've got Netflix. They're all looking for programming. Sports is captive programming because it's live. A movie or a series, you can binge watch at any time. So that the sports still is this straw that stirs the drink.
Yeah, it's live and it's consistent. It's a consistent schedule, whatever sport you are into. So, Mooch, I know you're into a lot of sports. We love it, and I'm really glad that you're a franchise owner and you guys have a franchise in UFLB, and I look forward to seeing how you will end up building your team. Thanks so much for joining us on the show tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and enjoyable as always. Happy to be a part of the UFFS family.
Play ball!
All right, that was so much fun to chat with Mooch about his passion, the 7 C's league that they created. It was really a great conversation, and I look forward to everybody having great conversations with Mooch, because he is definitely a great guy to chat with. Of course, Inside UFLB is part of the Ultimate Fantasy Sports Network, your one-stop fantasy sports shop. We're building something all fantasy sports fans will love, and looking for quality programming. Reach out if you're interested in being part of the rotation, whether you have a daily, weekly, or even a monthly show. If it's about fantasy sports, we would love to chat. UFS Network on Twitter is how you reach out and get into the DMs, or you can email UFSN at UFFsports.com and find out how your fantasy sports show can get in the game where you own the game. All right, as mentioned, we have finalized the waiver system in UFLB, and there will be 2 different types of waivers. And of course, a lot of this has to happen this way because we do not have the minor league set up, and we can't really use the 40-man list how it's supposed to be. We will get there, but it's going to take a little bit of time, so we have to have some creativity. So we have release waivers and protected list waivers. When we have the full setup, we'll be able to DFA players, and then they can come off the 40-man list and go to the minor leagues, but we don't have that yet. So for the first year, and until we get the minor league system set up, this is how release waivers will work. Players are put on there if a franchise needs to make room on the 40-man list. So you put a player on release waivers, he goes into a 24-hour auction for the other 29 teams. If that player passes through waivers, the franchise releases them. However, their AAV sticks. You got to pay for any player you release. You keep that AAV, and it goes towards the luxury tax, your luxury tax total. So if you release a guy that's making $2 million, you will have $2 million on your books. It will also cost $10 USD worth of score coin to be able to release a player. If somebody claims your player, then if you claim a player in a release waivers auction, that player must go anywhere on your 40-man list. You have to make sure you have room, or you immediately have to make some room and put somebody else, I guess, on release waivers, or you'd have to make a pre-trade or something. So anyway, that is the situation with release waivers. If you need to make room on your 40-man list, you can, but it's going to cost you it's going to cost you $10 US, and you'll have to keep that cap. Okay, now when it comes to protected list waivers, this is if you want to take a player from your active roster, 26-player roster, and move them to your extra 14 spots of your protected list, this is what this is. So you would put a player on waivers that doesn't have any more minor league options. If they have minor league options, they can go up and down as many times. You're limited to 3 moves per week, but you can put that player up and down as long as they have minor league options. If they don't have minor league options, you're looking at the protected list waiver. You want to get a player from your 26-man roster to the protected list. They don't have minor league options. They go on the protected list waivers auction. 24 hours, all 29 teams can bid. If you bid, that player has to go on your 26-player roster. They cannot go on your protected list. And 60% of all of these auctions will go to the team that loses the player. So that's how the payout will be when it comes to these auctions. 60% goes to the franchise losing the player, 30% to the prize pool, 10% to platform development. And of the $10 fee that teams pay to release the player of $10 worth of score, 90% goes to the prize pool, 10% goes to platform development. So if you want to claim a player, you need to have a spot on your 26-man. If you lose the player, you get 60% back. And if the player clears waivers, you can just put them on the protected list. There is no fee for that. So that is how waivers is going to work during the first season and until we get the minor league set up and we can have the 40-man list operate like it's supposed to. All right, this has been a really fun show. Didn't pitch a perfect game. Mooch lit me up with a couple of long balls. That short porch in Yankee Field just doesn't do so well for me on the mound. But big thanks to Alex Muchinsky for joining us on the program today. It was so much fun. Make sure you check out the details on the waiver. The release will go out, it's probably out now in the Telegram chats. And as mentioned, always reach out with any questions that you might have. One last piece of advice.
You be cocky and arrogant, even when you're getting beat.
Very important for UFHL or UFLB teams to remember that one. Thank you so much to Mooch for joining us. Thank you to you for tuning into the program. If you would like more information about how you can become a scout, or if you'd like to throw your name in the hat as a GM candidate, here's how you get in touch with us. Info UFLB at UFFsports.com. We'll get you the rule book. We'll get you hooked up. Get you in touch with Brian Hernandez, who is running the scouting department, and you're laughing. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us on the program today. Have yourself a great rest of the week, and let's hope we get some good news out of the CBA eventually. Let's not panic if there isn't good news right away. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Take care.